Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Comix Rant Mini. I am your host, Arvin Bautista, and this channel is all about loving on comics. Really. I love comics a lot. I'm trying to make my own, but I find a lot of worth having this channel going and putting out episodes, even though there aren't a lot of people watching them, just because I love them so much. I want to share them with everybody. And today I'm going to talk about Dawnrunner by V and Evan Cagle. And this issue that I got, I pre-ordered it from my local comic book store. And by the way, like a lot of the things I want to try with this channel is to get everybody pumped up with comics and go buy some. I don't get any kind of like kickback or anything. It's just, I love this medium so much. And a lot of the comic book companies and even comic book stores, sales are going down. And I think the distribution model for regular brick and mortar comic book stores is changing and disappearing, really. So if you can find comic book stores, pop right in and have a look at comic books that they have there. The medium is so good. It's so strange to me because nowadays I feel like sales are down, but it's baffling because there's so much good stuff coming out. And the comic book store owner that I talked to, he was saying the people that go into the comic book store just want the same stuff. They kind of don't want to go in there for experimental things or brand new things, licenses and IPs that they don't know. So it's true. I see like there's a lot of facsimile editions, which is reprints of books from the childhood of old fogies like myself. So it'd be like Batman, Death of Robin, first time he meets Ra's al Ghul. It's all that kind of stuff. X-Men, like, collector's editions, Days of Future Past, like all these books from the 90s and 80s, and even some from the 70s that are being reprinted. And the comic shop owner says they actually sell. And I mean, that's great, but there's no forward movement. And I will have a bunch of big two books that will be on this channel, of course, but I'll try my best to show you guys stuff that just usually gets swept under the rug. There's a lot of good press on a lot of these books, by the way, but I'm not sure if it's really carrying the industry or it's lighting the industry on fire. It should be. It should be. Anyway, that was part of my rant. Okay. So now let's go into the book. I just want to flip through this so you guys can see just how awesome this book is. So the main draw for me for this book is Evan Cagle's art. And I saw it before. First time I saw his art was on Instagram. And he had drawn this spectacular Evangelion pinup. And Evangelion is this a Japanese manga anime with giant robots. So perfect fit for Dawnrunner. But it was this technique that he used that was just a masterful use of pen and ink. And it's in this kind of older style or classical style. Older sounds like it's bad. Classical style from the greats, the pen and ink greats. And he pulls it off so great and does it with a giant robot. So it was this amazing mix. And you can kind of see it here. I would encourage you guys to go to his Instagram, Evan Cagle, and just look it up. I'm sure you'll find it if you look up Dawnrunner. This is Boom Studios, I believe, and it's for it's Dark Horse. Okay, sorry, my mistake. And it's $4.99. A little bit more on the pricey side, but man, it's worth it. This is just good looking stuff. So V, Evan Cagle, Dave Stewart doing the colors, and Aditya Bidikar doing the letters, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, I think so. Yes. So, here, first page already I opened up and it sets up the world, which the story structure is pretty much like every kind of giant robot kaiju story that you have, where giant portal opens up, giant monsters come out, and Earth has to band together to fight these giant monsters, and it just so happens it would be in the form of giant robots, because why not, right? So already, like, some of this stuff is very impressive. Nice establishing shot, giant wall. And a lot of it are things that we understand from this genre. You get like hotshot pilots in cool suits. There's a little angle here, maybe, like, because they're in the media and they're popular, and definitely other giant robot kaiju stories have done that for sure. So this is not quite a departure. It's set up pretty nice. There's a lot of world building that Ram V has to do, but he does it well. And he's got a lot of jargon flying around to kind of get you into that world as well. And it works out. It's not too confusing. Really great looking art. I mean, man, this is just good stuff. I am a sucker for cross-hatching, ladies and gentlemen. That's just the art that I like. I mean, I love simple stuff too, but this is the stuff that makes me go, what? Or something like that. But you can see what I mean here. Like, it's this kind of classical style of rendering in pen and ink, but with giant robots. And it's just so cool. The way his character designs look like anime, but the application of the finish is definitely that classical pen and ink style. And I love it. It works. It works for me. A lot of the art, it's interesting. A lot of the art, the characters, for some reason, it could be just me, remind me of Whilce Portacio's stuff. Whilce Portacio he was part of the early Image people. He wasn't a founder, but he had done Wetworks. And I think it's something to do with the line quality and the line weight. The way that Cagle applies it is reminding me about Whilce, and also the cool hair, cool coiffed hair, always coiffed hair that he supplies his characters with. So in this universe that they've made in Dawnrunner, the giant robots, they need a lot of money to finance these things. So a lot of corporations back these robots, and there's branding, right? There's a lot of branding. Basically, the world has become a bunch of corporations instead of countries, because, you need money to stop these giant robots. Ooh, here's a cool splash page. Let's just enjoy it. And it looks great. Dawnrunner. It's got, I just really love how the atmospherics of his art, of Cagle's art, just drives a lot of this. And it's just so fantastic to look at. Yeah, it's a $5 book. Or is it $6 book? Did I say $4.99? Yeah, it's a $5 book. Sorry, my math is terrible. It's a $5 book. Worth it. I mean, line mileage alone, worth it. But this is a cool spread with the pilot running, and then there's the robot running beside her. I don't know if the robot's out for a jog, but it's just a cool image. And then you can see again the hatching that I love, and this almost scratchboardy application of it, because he's putting white into the black instead of the other way around. And if you've listened to me in other episodes, my brain has a hard time adding white to define form from black. I would rather add black into white background to define form, but he just switches back and forth. No problem here. Like these speed lines on the sky are obviously black on white, but then the clouds, they switch out here. It's a black cloud with white added on, but he also has just white cloud to push this depth, and it's great. It's something I will have to steal. Yes. Anyway, so that's the splash page, and then you can see here. So here's the stuff where I'm like, oh, it feels like the characters look like a Whilce Portacio looking design for some reason. I don't know. It's probably just me. But that's a compliment, by the way. I'm not trying to say, oh, he's jacking his style. No, it's a compliment. There are very few people who could draw hair as nice as Whilce Portacio, as always super stylized as he does. And pretty looking people and good looking people. Cagle has his own style, but it's just something I picked up on because I can't draw hair to save my life. This is great stuff. Really great stuff. So the things that are set up are, there's a group of guys and girls that ride these mechs, and they're competitive with each other. So that's what's going on here. And then they kind of have to interface with this robot, prepare into these cool suits. They jump into these cool suits, and a good backstory on there to kind of get you into the world building, and then cool designs for all this tech. And I'm a sucker for tech too. That's my comic book love language. If I see that, then if it hits cool tech, then yes, I know this comic loves me. See, I just love looking at like how these things are rendered, and it is a combination. Now you got like the Zipatone dots to describe shade, as also with the cross hatching. I'm trying to get in here, but not too close. It gets all blurry. And I love it. And he does it so well. He just switches from one or the other, and it doesn't detract from the look. Well worth the price of admission. Here you go. Another one where it's kind of Ghost in the Shell-y, Akira-y looking, feeling. And then you have this kind of hatching that reminds me of manhwa, right? Chinese comics and really classical style inking too. Good stuff. So then you see like there's a giant monster, like all the story is still going on. It still hasn't detracted too much from what we know of the giant monster, giant robot type stories. And I think it was around this point that I'm like, oh wait, he's setting us up. Ram V is setting us up to kind of be like, okay, I understand this genre. I know where I'm going. I know where this is going. This is cool too. The launch. Shafoom. It's cool. It's got that like, the speed lines are fantastic. There's a lot of energy going on. But anyway, the story is setting us up to be comfortable with what's going on here, right? So these tropes that we understand, and they're super fun, even if it just stayed that way. But I had this feeling, I was like, oh, he's probably going to go somewhere else here. Because all the things, he hit all the markers for that kind of genre. But there were still a few pages. So I'm like, okay, he's going to flip this by the end to get me coming back. And he does. And this is the first time we see Dawnrunners destroying all forests on this nice planet Earth. In this environment that they keep the kaiju, they kind of contain one of the gates. And this is supposed to be a weaker kaiju that's coming out. So everybody's watching, tuning on their TVs, which is interesting to see. It's like a big spectator game. It's been a few years since all these corporations have been doing this, and you get an awesome fight, right? Crazy. Dave Stewart's doing colors, and it looks fantastic. Looks really good. It's purple and this kind of he spits out this weird, gross, mucusy acid, well-colored stuff, like guts coming out and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of motion, a lot of action. And this is I only see a lot of this in anime when there's like a rapid motion of either punching or stabbing, and that's totally what's going on here. He's like shanking this monster. Looks cool, like all the action stuff. I'm gonna try not to spoil it for you. You're not gonna get it anyway until you read it, but there is a twist at the end, and this is not quite spoiling it. So, but it's nice because it kind of shows you, hey, this book is more than just a kaiju book. There's something else that Ram V and Evan Cagle are gonna dip into. Anyway, so let me skip that last spoiler part, and these are the alternate covers for the second one. And the Evan Cagle stuff just looks so fantastic. I was so excited, and I didn't know if he'd be able to maintain this kind of quality in a book, much less on a monthly. I'm not sure if this is limited, but on a monthly basis. But to get this in my hands, here's my $5. More than happy to support this type of book where it's just the creators. I believe they still own this through Dark Horse. It's their own IP. Heck yeah, I'll show up for you. This is good stuff. So there's like a dome, I think, that's keeping all the humans safe within that city, next to where I think they're actually in the dome where the monsters are, but there's a wall that blocks off where these guys are. So it is really good world building stuff, just very fun. Corporations, the whole shebang. In any case, I hope you have enjoyed flipping through this issue of Dawnrunner with me. Fantastic stuff, and oh man, just jazz me up for the next issue. Hope it jazzed you up too. Please pick it up at your local store. Support your local store while you can. I'm not sure where it's gonna go in a few years. We've always heard gloom and doom stories about comic books. I think comic books it'll just transition on to the next medium, the next publication style that is most profitable, and it'll survive because it's the medium is just too good and too easy to produce, right? It's just fast, but it's just a distribution model with comic book stores, physical brick and mortar stores. So support those places when you can. In any case, this is Dawnrunner number 1 and Comix Rant Mini signing off. See you guys next time.